Welcome back to Outside the Cinema, your weekly source for cult movie discussion. Your hosts, Bill and Chris.
Yeah. Yep.
What is that? That's weird.
I don't know.
That's weird. Welcome back to the show, everybody.
You know what it is? What it is I opened up my drawing app, and this is my creature from the Black Lagoon.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah. So I opened it up, and I'm like, I did that.
One of the ones you did the other day that you posted, I loved. I don't remember if I must have liked it on Instagram, but like there was one particular one. If you guys don't follow Chris on Instagram, you really should. He's been doing some incredible drawings recently. What the hell is it? It's Cthulhu, right?
Yeah.
CHRITH?
CHR, like Chris and Cthulhu mashed together, yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The RoboCop one. Yes.
Oh.
And I didn't like that one. I'm going to like that right now.
Yeah, the last one I posted was last Thursday, and it was Christopher Lloyd and John Lithgow, and
yep, I saw that one too.
As the Yo-Yo Dine guys. I actually worked up the balls to just tag the two of them in it. Not that they would ever see it, but like, hey, look, I drew a picture of you. So
you never know.
Yeah, I kind of Friday was my last day at GBH, so that was kind of mind-bending enough. And then I just took the weekend off from posting. And I have a whole bunch of stuff, but like I'm working on like 15 things at the same time. I asked my daughter a while ago, I'm like, hey, would you draw me? I want to see you draw, because she draws a lot of her original characters. And she keeps saying, I'll get to it. And I'm like, okay, why don't you tell me somebody to draw? And first, I swear to God, she said, draw Gengo from that Ultraman episode. And I'm like, okay, bam, knock that out in a night. And then I'm like, all right, what horror guy should I do next? Because I have just scrolling through here. Of course, I did the tall man because nobody ever gives him the time of day.
You know what I want you to do for me?
In artwork. What's that?
I want you to do the American Werewolf in London, where the two of them are sitting next to each other in the movie theater.
Perfect.
That's what I want.
That's great because that's got a lot of shadow. That'll come out really nice.
Yeah, I want that. I want that motherfucker.
Okay.
Please, and also thank you.
So she says, do Art the Clown. I'm like, okay. One night, and I actually experimented with some color on that one too. I'm trying with so for horror guys that I have almost ready to go. I got Vincent Price. The name of the movie escapes me right now, but he's got the teeth, the skeleton teeth on his lips there, and the big hat.
That's Dr. Phibes, isn't it?
You know what? I don't remember because I'm just
the abominable Dr. Phibes.
I got a Ash from Evil Dead. I have a what's her name from The Evil Dead. Tall man over here, Predator, Death Star droid. Megalon's almost done. This incredibly detailed alien. Like the canvases I'm using are stupid. My kids are asking me, so how many layers can you have in Procreate on your on the images? And I'm like, it limits me to 10. And they're like, how big are your canvases? Because they have 400 layers or something that are available to them. And I'm like, I'm working with 27 by 42 inch canvases because that's a movie poster size. And they're like, why? I'm like, because I can zoom all the fucking way in. And when we are going to need a Christmas tree one for the Woodsman if you're interested. All right.
So we need a I'm not going to give away the name of the tree, but we need a Geraldine because we've been talking about doing a T-shirt because Woodsman is hitting a whole bunch of festivals in the next 6 to 8 weeks. So we've actually had people ask about T-shirts. So something to put in your head there, bud.
Yeah. I would just send me reference pictures. You got any
reference pictures? It's just, have you ever seen a Christmas tree?
I couldn't remember if it was a specific, or if it was. You just wanted me to just find a nice, pretty tree.
I don't know.
Because I don't want to give anything away from the movie. So,
well, no, yeah, you just watch it again and do whatever you would feel.
Well, I'm just trying to create mystery for the audience.
Yeah, 13 minutes of mystery.
Hey, that could be a pivotal 13 minutes.
People love it, man. Anyone I know that's seen it really likes it. So
Good.
Kyle and I are very proud of it. And it is playing a bunch of film festivals. Shauna Shea is the local one that it's going to play. It's playing Philadelphia the Philadelphia Underground Festival, something called the Thrills, Chills, and Kills Festival, something up in British Columbia. It's playing a bunch of places. Chattanooga. It already played Chattanooga. Charlotte's the other big one that's playing.
There was a convention just this weekend at the Marriott in Danvers.
Yeah, I didn't even hear about it. I didn't even know it existed until somebody I followed on Instagram posted some stuff about it when they were there. It's the only
Travis?
Literally. No, it was my buddy James, actually.
Oh, I'm willing to bet that Travis and James know each other then.
Probably.
But that's how I found out through an Instagram post. Somebody saying, "Oh, Kane Hodder just gave me a dirty look." And I'm like, "Well, where are you?" Danvers. What the hell? All right.
Yeah, Danvers. I mean, I would have got a table. I would have been slinging Film Freaks shit that we were trying to sell 2 years ago when the world stopped.
Yeah.
I have a bunch. So if anyone's interested in buying a copy of Film Freaks on either VHS, DVD, or Blu-ray, I have plenty of them. We have a store, but I mean, if you want to just tell me if you want them, and I will hook you up with a deal, because we have a bunch of stuff that got left over from when we were supposed to be doing conventions the year after it released, and we're just sitting on it because we're not doing them. We're not doing them anymore. So anyway, the show this week, we're getting to the nitty gritty of our Patreon picks this week. David, these are David's picks. 1988's Eat the Rich. I hope you like British comedy, because we're going to talk about it pretty significantly with that film. And also the Tony Scott action. I mean, it's 1991, but it's very much of the 80s action ilk. The Bruce Willis, Damon Wayans joint, The Last Boy Scout.
Yeah.
These are two interesting movies to be paired together, because they really do not relate to one or the other in any way, shape, or form.
No, not at all.
Really not at all. If you are not a member of our Patreon and you listen to the show, I would kindly ask that you would consider doing it. $5 a month gets you access to our show archives, plus you get the shows early each and every week. You get a bunch of bonus content that's only available in that world, in the Patreon world. It's how we keep the show alive. As an independent filmmaker, I do not have a steady income, so any help can be very much appreciated. So, that's really all we got this week, man. There's not a whole lot of other stuff going on. I got my my monster cereals yesterday. I got my Fruit Brute, my Blueberry, and my Frankenberry.
Nice.
I have them at Target, so I left out Count Chocula because he's the only one that isn't pink. Well, Blueberry's blue, I guess. But Fruit Brute, I thought didn't Fruit Brute used to be a bunch of different flavors?
I don't honestly know, because I remember the original one, maybe when I was little, and then it was just the big three, and the werewolf could fuck off, and Ghost
I always
replaced...
thought I remembered... I thought I remembered Fruit Brute being like Fruity Pebbles, where it was a bunch of different flavors.
That's
now
what I would...
Now it's just cherry, apparently.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's just cherry. It's good.
Oh,
I mean,
most
good, but...
cherry flavored things I find enjoyable. Yes.
Yeah.
Gross. What?
That's how I got.
Why did I phrase it like that?
I don't know. It was weird. I was going to pretend that I was just going to go right over it until you stopped there.
I think what happened was I started saying something and my brain said, "Just fucking go for it. It's just be as creepy as you can right now."
Just go for it, he says. Oh man! All right. Well, I mean, let's get into the show this week. So these are David's choices for the flicks this week.
Do we have an explanation?
No, we don't.
All right.
No. I did post. I know Ollie had commented on the Facebook page about the show from last week. I hope he liked it. He didn't say either way. He got the show titled Troll Snatch. So there we go.
Did yeah. That's all. That's all he wanted.
Weird emails now. No. Yeah, it's really he didn't care about the movie. He didn't care about the movie. So, all right, let's get this started. Let's start with 1988. Eat the Rich. Now here's a trailer. I got a trailer for it. So, and guess what? Not connected.
Of course.
Always with this shit. Why does it continue to do that? Exciting times here.
There are so many movies we could put together to create dirty
good titles.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never really thought about it before he said that, which is why when he was like, "Oh yeah, there's really no like reason for these two movies." He's like, "I just like the title."
Yeah.
All right. Never even would have thought of that.
Like he could have also instead of Eat the Rich this week, we could have done that movie about Richard Nixon, and we could have titled the show Eat the Rich Dick.
Eat the Dick Rich. Dick, comma. Anyway, all right. So here's the trailer.
I love my sheep and pigs.
Hi, we're starting a people's uprising. Do you fancy joining us?
Yes, I'd love to.
Some people in this country are very, very rich. But most of them are very, very poor. You know why? Because you're all lazy bastards.
Travel by night. Trust nobody.
Who are you?
I'm sick. Is that fresh or what?
Walter? Yes?
Grind the face of capitalism into the dust.
I'm with the group.
Come on, baby, and eat the rich. Come on, baby, and eat the rich.
I'd stick to the chips if I was you.
All right, there we go. Eat the Rich. 1988, directed by Peter Richardson. Peter Richardson also was one of the minds and writers behind The Comic Strip Presents, which was another English variety sketch show, if you would. He was also an actor at some point. He did some small roles and stuff like Twins and things like that. If you know British humor.
So we're kind of looking at a thing that's like, I just had it in my head, like brain candy. Is that the Kids in the Hall one?
Kids in the Hall, yeah,
yeah, where it's a group, or like the Bob and Doug McKenzie movie kind of thing, characters based off of that, or a group of people that come together. Yeah, okay.
As far as his directing stuff, he didn't do a whole heck of a lot. He directed The Pope Must Diet.
I remember the big hubbub around that because it was The Pope Must Die. Yeah,
and then they added the T.
Yeah,
I mean, he did some work with Eddie Izzard, but he was the mind behind the Glam Metal Detectives, which I remember seeing back in the day and enjoying it. But so this film though, Eat the Rich. If you like Motorhead, you're in for a treat. Lemmy Star is one of the stars of it, and they do the majority of the soundtrack. It's also got Nosher Powell, Al Pillay, Kevin Allen, Ronald Allen, Dave Beard, Rowan Bentley. It's a who's who of British.
Oh yeah. It's basically a Mel Brooks movie at the from that time too, because Mel Brooks would get all those. You get your friends to come and do cameos.
Yeah. A bunch of people show up, most notably Paul McCartney, among others.
Robbie Coltrane, I think, is one of the. I'm gonna say standout because of his behavior, not because of any other reason, but because he's such a petulant little asshole.
Yeah,
that you're like, oh shit, that's Hagrid.
Bill Wyman, the Rolling Stones shows up too. That was the other one. And then Motorhead themselves also show up as the band at one point.
That band was. I'm sitting there watching it with the kids. I'm like, okay, so we have a Motorhead song being played on piano, 2 saxophones, a guitar. A bass and drums, and you can only hear guitar, bass, and drums. There's no guitar. Wait, where did that guitarist come from? Wait, where did the piano player go? Wait, where did those 2 guitar players come from? Wait, where did all the saxophone guys go? Now it's just Motorhead. It had to have been on purpose.
Right. Well, there's a point where the saxophone guy is standing there playing and going back and forth,
Yeah.
and there's no saxophone in the song.
There's literally none.
No, it's just Motorhead.
But I did think, they could have orchestrated this song to have saxophone and piano in it, and it probably would have sounded kind of neat.
For sure. So if you're a fan of like the Young Ones and like that stuff, this is the movie. I think something like
because Rick
at least 2
Mayall's
or
in
3
it.
of the guys from the Young Ones were in
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
It's very okay. First and foremost, it is definitely not a film for everyone because number one, it is very British.
Yeah.
And you kind of, I feel, to really appreciate some of the humor, you have to have a good, strong understanding of British class structure and British life from this time period for sure.
Right, because this is a lot of
Thatcher
Thatcher
time, yeah.
bullshit. Yeah.
Yep.
I can go back to at least never lived there, but go back to my first exposure to British TV was the Tom Baker Doctor Who and Monty Python, and to this day I think I watch more British TV than US shows, but a lot of it is just comedian panel stuff where it's make a bunch of jokes and there's a sort of game kind of thing. But it's made me familiar with a bunch of these people because they're referenced by the newer comedians, and knowing what they joke about has actually led me to reading a little bit more about it and understanding how their political system works. And so I would say about a third of the jokes were lost on me. Even knowing what I know.
More on me. I am super. So I, in general, don't really like. I'm very picky with the British humor that I enjoy. I love the IT Crowd. I love Toast of the Town. I love Garth Marenghi.
Yeah.
What's the other Richard Ayoade one where he Dean Lerner Presents? I love that stuff. I don't really like Monty Python. I am not particularly into the Young Ones, and I'm not particularly the comic strip stuff is not something I'm not really into.
I never got into.
I understand its
Benny
place.
Hill
It's just not my
stuff.
thing.
Yeah.
It's not my deal. It's not my deal.
No, but a lot of the stuff you mentioned is like stuff I grew up on.
No, which is I mean for the listeners if they don't know this, there is a few years between us. We're not like the same age.
Yeah.
But we're not like it's just that you and I are just enough far apart in age where like there is a shift in some stuff. For
right.
For sure.
I just want to look up one date on. Yeah, The Holy Grail came out in 1975, so I was 3. So it would have hit TV probably about the time I was like 6, and that would have been
me like what 1?
You'd be 2, right? Is there? Oh no, there's 5 years, right, between us.
5 years, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like 4.5.
Right, and then it would have faded off until it came and hit on VHS in the 80s.
Right.
So that makes sense, unless and if your parents had watched it, there might be little chance they'd watch a repeat with commercials again.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Interesting.
100%.
Okay. Oh, and Faulty Towers, that was the other one I remember watching.
See, now again, not really into it.
Right, it was off the air before.
The story,
yeah.
The story of this movie it's fairly simple. You have a waiter who is kicked out of his job for not doing well. He is now homeless and yes.
Okay, so is Alex male or female? Because I know Al Pillay was trans, so I don't know.
Right.
Because for anybody that hasn't seen this, I played a scene where Alex is just talking to fucking Rita Skeeter from Harry Potter, which was another nice cameo. And I said, "Who does that sound like?" And my wife immediately said, and people in the UK will know this. They said, "Oh, they sound exactly like Alan Carr," and just the Alan Carr is gay, and he has a slightly effeminate voice, and like speech patterns, and that's like I don't know, because there's not enough information about Al to know.
I read it.
Excuse me.
Definitely. Of the feminine, but you know what though, the way they were manhandled and thrown around at points by people, tends me to believe that they were identifying the character as male.
Okay.
That was kind of where I came from with it. Because
the competition was with the other male waiter,
right,
in the beginning, and it wasn't about male versus. Okay, all right.
That's kind of just how I read it. It's not really explained, and honestly, it doesn't really matter.
No.
I mean, it matters in the sense of
in the bio for Al, is a one-time transsexual disco diva, transgressive maverick, Channel 4's first out loud and proud star, children's broadcaster, voiceover queen. So but then it says as soon as he was old enough to don a wig. So I think, yeah, if it's in the bio, if it says he, I just wanted to make sure.
Completely.
Yeah.
But that's interesting though, because this is 1987. It's a different world then. You know, transgender people were not looked at the way they are now.
No, not the lead character in a movie either.
No, definitely not. But either way, we'll just say Al's character is fired from their job waiting tables at a really high scale, snooty restaurant.
It's
ends up homeless.
It's such an absurdist Verhoeven restaurant, right? Because they're selling panda, a decapitated cheetah's head. The place is literally called Bastards. Or sorry,
yeah. Well, she said one of the ladies asked the waiter and goes, "Is the fried panda dipped in honey?"
Yeah.
And there's the one like obesely overweight guy that literally is just singing a song about how rich he is.
Yes,
I mean
that's Robbie
There
Coltrane.
is no subtlety.
Yeah, and
there
he
is no subtlety.
He has such a speech impediment that it makes him sound like a baby, which obviously is what's intended. He is a caricature of. He's like a political cartoon version of himself, and everybody understood exactly what needed to happen, which was good. I really honestly do think, though, that the opening scene in that trailer, "Hey, we're starting a revolution. Do you want to come along?" was lifted from this into Thor Ragnarok, where Korg says that to Loki. I swear
for sure.
It's the same
Oh,
thing.
it has to be.
Because even Alex and the dude he's with are wearing blue and yellow, which were the colors Loki was wearing.
Yeah.
Really
for
interesting.
sure. I mean, I can see Taika Waititi just absolutely like pulling from something like this.
Yep.
No question.
Yep.
So Al is fired and is now left homeless and goes to what was not the unemployment office. Well, I guess what office was it he visited?
Social welfare kind of thing.
Social welfare basically is like, "Hey, listen, I need to get some money or whatever." And they're like, "All right, what's your address?" And they're like, "Well, hey, I'm homeless. I don't have one."
Right.
And they're like, "Well, we can't send you money or anything then if you don't have a place to live." And they shoot up the place.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere. Kind of out of nowhere.
It absolutely is out of nowhere. You're supposed to believe that what is her name? The one that was at the desk. I'm trying to get the cast list up here. But she's not at that part. With her laughing at him, that was like the last straw, because they're going through all of the proper channels to receive the help they need, and they're getting pushed back. And Miranda Richardson, that's her name. DHSS is where they went.
Okay.
And it's portrayed to show that these people do the job just to do the job, not for any like wanting to help people. or anything. They just don't care. And I think that's the message that they're saying in that scene. And that's what people want to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So they get together with some people, and they're going to start an anarchist revolution.
Yeah.
And take down the high levels. And so Lemmy, why was Lemmy there?
He was like the second in charge to the guy that's really in charge.
Worked for the government, though, right? Like him and the other guy worked for the government.
I'm going to be honest. I got confused when he showed up to help Alex. And I didn't know what side he was on at that point.
So maybe, I don't know, the feeling... Here's the thing with this movie is that, like, it really is not written all that well, but I feel like they kind of did that on purpose so that they could really dig into, like, the surrealism side of it that they were going for.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of jokes that are played off like second-rate John Waters jokes, and there's just some stuff going on where, like, you kind of have to suspend your belief in terms of, like, why things are happening and like, you know, like why all these people are getting shot but nobody seems to be doing anything about it, and like all of these other things. So there's that sense that you kind of have to buy into a certain world that they're giving you and know that, like, yes, no, this is a surrealist interpretation on the way we feel about the class structure in the UK at this point,
right?
And how the rich people are just so on another planet that they are and again, the title "Eat the Rich." It's so on the nose that they're literally eating each other and don't even understand, like, don't even know it
or care. Actually, some of them, yeah. I mean, we've seen it to a certain point, metaphorically happening, with all of the subpoenas and testimony that's being given. They are literally devouring themselves. To stay out of, to keep themselves out of trouble, and in the high life, they will kill themselves.
Yeah. So you have the character Nosher, who is running. Was he running for prime minister, or was he?
He already held office, but he wanted to go higher. Yeah.
Okay, that's what it was.
And I'm still not clear on what office he held, because I don't think that there's a Texan oil district in the UK, and that seemed to be based on the last suit he was wearing too, that he should have been in Ireland with that satiny green suit. That seems to be like how rich people in the 80s in Ireland would dress: satin green tracksuits.
Yeah, sounds about right. So his character is brash and over the top, and doesn't really seem to care about anybody else. But his wife is a social climber.
Yeah.
And there's a point where she's awful. And there's a point where she's like, I want more and I want it now.
Yeah.
Like, that's not how, and like, you know, that's not how it works. So,
yeah.
It's so weird for a movie that doesn't have a lot of story going on. There's a lot of shit happening.
Too much happening, yeah.
Like, there's too much happening, and they're not telling you anything. Spoiler alert, I did not really enjoy this. This is definitely a film that I understand why people would really like it. I can see why someone would give this a 10 out of 10 and why somebody would give it a 1 out of 10. Like, I can totally see both those things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, your enjoyment of this movie, I think, really is going to depend on a couple things. Number one, how adept you are at British comedy and British humor from this time period, and how much of it you can take, because they give you a couple platefuls of it. How much of that you can ingest, and how much of it you truly enjoy. Two, be ready to suspend belief in any way, shape, or form, because it is definitely played off in a surrealistic world. It's not visually that crazy. It's actually a pretty bland looking film.
Oh, the scenes where there's just a little, like an inch of snow that's melted, so you see all the wispy dried grass poking through. It is so fucking frigid cold. to look at that.
Yes.
It,
yes.
it-
Any of those shots on those long like roads.
yeah,
out in
and
the,
that's the great
fields.
thing, because that is the general feeling of the country, is this just ugh. And they're in a bright colored car trying to bring a little something out there, and whether they succeed or not is a whole nother thing.
Right. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird, and it's not my. I like weird, but like this is not my type of weird.
I could see that.
I mean, do you think if I had a better understanding or like for like Faulty Towers and Monty Python, I would enjoy something like this more? Is that how it kind of played for you?
No, because I started watching this and I was like, the fuck is going on here? So I stopped watching it for literally 2 days, and then I started it over, and I'm like, all right, I sort of get it. It's like when you start an RPG and you're like, oh, I fucked this all up. I know what to do now. And you start over, your 40 hours because you can do it better. I don't know if I liked it. That's the thing. Like, I understand what they're doing. I get the comedy. Some of it was funny, but it is of the minute in that time period. And it kind of feels like things are a little bit better over there than they were. So it's a little difficult to relate because I wasn't there during the Thatcher stuff. I just heard horror stories and,
Right.
lots of jokes. And it is stark and absurdist, and it doesn't feel like British humor. It actually kind of felt like if Peter Jackson tried to make a serious movie after Dead Alive. It's got that kind of urgency and hustle to it. And there's definitely a message, and you're so excited to be able to be doing it that you just want to get it finished and you just want to show it to people. But maybe you needed another pass on the script or the editing or something. But as far as filming it and getting the audio and lighting and the way it looked, it was great. But I think it suffered from pacing. Some of the jokes through time land flat, or just outdated at this point, so they're not funny. So, I mean, I can't hold that against it because it is telling a story about what's going on at the time.
Right.
So no,
and that's what I think a lot of.
I don't know if it would have helped to answer your question.
I mean, but I feel like even if you were to watch some of the American comedies from this time period, 87 to like 89, I think it's a lot of it is based on where you are from. Like there was not a lot of, I think, crossover in pop culture.
Right.
I would say that for at least us here in America, the first time after like the Beatles and stuff that we really got a good crossover and real good helping of what UK life or commerce was the Britpop movement of the mid 90s, like when Oasis and Blur.
Oh wait, no. Really?
No? You don't think so?
You don't think
when?
You don't think New Wave was that?
No, because I don't think that was an inherently British thing.
Oh, inherently. Okay.
Whereas,
right.
yeah,
because even punk shared New York and London. So
I mean, if you go and you look at it, the English punk was a vastly different thing.
Oh,
than
yeah.
what the Ramones and like
the Ramones were
Adolescents and,
totally
those.
different than ever. They took doo-wop songs and sped them up.
Right. But that's why I feel like there wasn't really a point where British culture invaded the American psyche until the Britpop movement in the 90s.
I missed the part where it was like an invasion. It was just focused from one. And the inherently just flew right by me. But no, that makes sense.
Because everything about the Britpop movement from the mid 90s is like super British.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah. No, I understand. I was thinking that I was introduced to a lot of British bands and stuff in the 80s. Mm-hmm. So I was, I get it. You make sense. Yeah. Yes.
I mean, and I'm not saying there wasn't British stuff coming to the States in
but
the
not
80s,
like it was focused. Yeah.
Right. It wasn't like a movement
or
anything. like the Stones and the Beatles were back in the late 60s.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I guess let's grade it. All right, Chris. Do you recommend and what? Oh, excuse me, I burped. And what is your grade for Eat the Rich?
I don't know if I am gonna. You know what? I'll recommend this to the people in Europe. Because I think outside of that, it's like, you remember the one we watched with who's the woman that pretends to be a dame? Dame Edna?
Dame Edna?
And the big joke was that there was dog shit all over the street and sidewalks.
Yes.
You hated that.
Yeah.
This is better than that. But it has the same kind of inwardly facing country only. So it doesn't have a wide sensibility outside of the UK and surrounding countries, let's say. So yeah, I can't recommend it outside of that. And I'm just gonna give it a C. I like what they did. It was done well, but I don't think it's. There's a reason I never heard of it, I guess is what I'm saying.
Right.
So, yeah.
I can't find that damn end of movie. Okay. So I'm going to kind of take the cop out here and I'm going to give it two different ideas on my recommend. For me, personally, I do not recommend this. I didn't like it. I didn't think it was really very funny. I didn't enjoy the comeuppance that were being brought to your attention, and I thought the idea of the rich literally eating themselves is a little too on the nose. But with that said, if you have a really good handle on British class culture, film, comedy from this time period, if you are a big fan of it, then this movie does offer you, I think, some stuff that you could really enjoy. Like I said earlier, this is very much a film that somebody I could see giving an A and also somebody giving this film an F.
Right.
I'm not going to probably lean either of those directions, but overall, I didn't like it. It's not for me. Yeah. I personally wouldn't recommend it, but I would say that if you have a really strong understanding of this, then I would recommend it to you. I think this film really could have used from a couple of rewrites to flush out the script a little bit better.
Yeah.
To clear the story up and make it a little bit more concise and still hold that surreal feel that they're going for. And I think that's probably for me the biggest place where it falls flat is that I think a lot of the comedy doesn't hit because it's not developed enough in the right way for it to be able to like really shine for what it's trying to do. I'm going to give it a D only because I really didn't like it.
Okay.
And that's a personal opinion, but I can say that although I'm giving it a D, I understand why somebody could really like this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, I don't think the performances are bad outside of what the script dictated. Like Robbie Coltrane there had to do that because that's what his character was supposed to be. So it was all done the way it was supposed to be done, which, you know, sometimes when we watch a movie and it's you can tell the people are kind of like halfway through. They're like, it's whatever. This is going to suck. But here they didn't do that. They had a message and they did it. And at the time, I hope it reached the right people. I don't know.
I think it did.
Yeah.
I think it did. All right. Next. So I don't know if we've done a lot of Tony Scott stuff, but The Last Boy Scout, directed by Tony Scott, starring Bruce Willis and Damon Wayans. Here is a trailer.
This ain't no game, Flash. In a world of gridiron heroes, where a handful of men are corrupting the sport.
You're talking about billions. That's 9 zeros, son.
It's not whether you win or lose, but how you play the odds.
So you're gonna bribe some senators to legalize gambling?
Legalize sports gambling.
Joe Hallenbeck's a private detective who's run out of luck.
If you touch me again, I'll kill you.
in.
Told you.
Jimmy Dix
I like Prince.
is an ex-quarterback who was thrown out of football.
Another tragic tale of wasted youth. You're nobody. Shh. Don't tell anyone.
They've got one shot
My girl's dead. The guys that did it up at Spago's eating chicken Marcella.
to clean up their acts
You vacuum, I'll dust.
and clean up the game of football.
Taking up a U.S. Senator is a pretty ballsy move.
You said it, Joe boy. That's why we're going to frame you for the senator's murder.
Son, we're going to a ball game.
This once, I would like to hear you scream in pain.
Play some rap music. That was a bomb? And that had a hell of a factory recall.
Bruce Willis, Damon Wayans, the last Boy Scout.
Danger's my middle name.
Mine's Cornelius. Tell anybody I kill you.
All right. Oh, the last Boy Scout, as we said earlier, Tony Scott, who I had forgotten had passed away.
Oh, yeah.
2012, I think, is what it was. I mean, he made some really, really heavy hitter flicks.
Mm-hmm.
If you go through his filmography in terms of just the stuff that he directed, not let alone what he produced, because he produced a ton of stuff too.
Yeah.
But as a director, you know, he did Domino, he did Man on Fire, Spy Game, Enemy of the State, The Fan, Crimson Tide, True Romance, Days of Thunder. I mean, Beverly Hills Cop 2, Top Gun, The Hunger. I mean, Tony Scott, and also he's Ridley Scott's brother.
Yeah.
He took his own life in 2012 under still kind of not necessarily mysterious circumstances, but no one really knows kind of why he did it and what happened in his life.
No.
And it never really came out. I mean, he was incredibly successful, had, you know, plenty of money. So, you know, we know that obviously money doesn't always solve everyone's problems, but like he was extremely successful and well respected. And from what I gathered, very well liked by the people that he worked with too.
Yeah, here's two words for you. Robin Williams.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Doesn't matter how much you're smiling on the outside. I mean, literally.
Yeah. So the last Boy Scout is of its time.
Oof.
1991. It is so 1991 too when you watch it. If you go back and you look at a lot of the stuff in terms of the action films from this time period, there's like stuff that's all over the place, because this was 91. You had stuff like Last Action Hero in 93. Rising Sun was 93. Death Warrant, The Fugitive, the first Mission Impossible movie was 95. And then there's
let's not forget one of the best Bruce Willis movies ever, Die Hard 3.
This is true.
I recently watched.
But you also
I watched all three of the only 3 Die Hard movies in a row, and I still think 2 is my favorite out of all of them. I know 3 is my favorite and 2 is my least favorite.
That's fair.
But
also, you got stuff like Point Break,
okay,
Hard to Kill,
yeah.
Cliffhanger.
Oh, Hard to Kill.
Terminator 2 was 91.
It was the Seagal movies that started the dumbing down of action movies.
I don't know, man. I mean, because like, I know you love Demolition Man, but dude, like, you want to talk about dumbing down?
No. Demolition Man actually is brilliant social commentary disguised as a dumb action movie.
So's The Last Action Hero, though.
Yeah.
That's more of a stretch. I know.
Yeah,
but
true. But I think Demolition Man is like a sarcastic version of RoboCop. Like, oh, I see what you did, RoboCop. Guess what? I'm going to do it with kindness.
Yeah.
And then they did.
I know what you're saying.
And I hated Demolition Man when I saw it in the theater. Fucking hated it. And I hated The Last Boy Scout when I saw it in the theater. Because Shane Black said to Tony Scott, "Hey, Tony, guess what I did? You be Tony."
I mean, and
Go
Shane
ahead.
Black is a writer.
No, go ahead. You
obviously.
be Tony. Hey, Tony, guess what I did?
Okay.
Guess what I did?
I don't know. What'd you do?
I did that thing you said I couldn't do. I wrote an entire script out of catchphrases. Catchphrases and one-liners. And a little bit of filler I stole from another movie. So, want to make it? Let's go.
I mean,
Bruce Willis owes me a favor.
In hindsight, if you look at this movie, directed by Tony Scott, written by Shane Black,
Yeah.
like it couldn't be more 1991.
Oh my God!
Because he's coming off of Shane Black's coming off of writing stuff like Lethal Weapon, Monster Squad. This is pretty early for him.
The only way this could have been more Shane Black is if you put Kevin Peter Hall in Damon Wayans' place.
Yeah. This is actually he wrote Lethal Weapon and he wrote Monster Squad.
Yeah.
He didn't write Lethal Weapon 2, but Last Boy Scout came out right around that time.
Yeah, he did the screenplay for this. Greg Hicks, who has only written this story for film. That was it. Yeah.
Crazy. But, I mean, it's so inherently of its time as you watch it. The story is even super early 90s.
Yeah.
You got Joe Hallenbeck, played by Bruce Willis. He's the down-on-his-luck private investigator that saved the president's life and is now a disgraced hero. You got Damon Wayans, who was the starting quarterback for the Raiders, or the whatever they are.
Yeah.
He's now disgraced because he got
the
caught
LA
betting on
Knights
football games.
was the LA Knights, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. He's now the disgraced hero because he got busted for betting on football while he was playing.
Yeah.
You got the angry ex-wife of Bruce Willis, played by Chelsea Field.
Better known as
Danielle Harris.
Better known as Tila from the Masters of the Universe movie.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is really. I mean, she's been in a bunch of
She
stuff.
has.
She has
too. But I liked her as Tila.
She was the flight attendant in Commando, the one that wasn't the one that was the main one. But you got Taylor Negron, who's obviously everyone's favorite bad guy.
Oh, he's a creep.
Danielle Harris, when she's like 14, is in this.
I gotta hand it to her.
Plays a stripper.
I gotta hand it to Danielle Harris in this one, though. She played this little C word of a kid so well that I want to go back in time to when I met her at the conventions and say, "What the fuck is wrong with you? Were you okay as a kid?" Because like she channeled some shit there. That was
for sure.
That was good. That was really good. Which made her turn at the end the most believable part of the whole movie, I think.
For sure. She's great in this.
Yeah.
She's great.
Holly Berry and her butt double were in this.
Yep, Holly Berry and her butt double. She plays a stripper, but doesn't.
Yeah. Also, Kim Coates was really scary as a psychopath.
Yeah, he was. He was good.
I like him.
Real good.
I like him. Yeah.
So, a lot of heavy names. Some of them earlier in their career than others.
Yep.
I mean, it's a pretty simple story. You got Joe by Bruce Willis. He's a private detective. His job is to protect a female witness to something that he doesn't know. One of the guys he's working with is sleeping with his wife. He catches them. That guy is then killed. He realizes that it has something to do with the Halle Berry character who he's now supposed to be protecting.
Yeah.
Damon Wayans plays Jimmy Dix. He's the boyfriend of the girl he's supposed to be protecting. And so he's like, hey, like, what the fuck are you doing following her around? And he's like, hey, listen, I don't want any trouble. I was just paid to make sure she's okay. And he's like, well, she would tell me if something was wrong, so nothing's wrong. Obviously something's wrong.
It's all the typical, what we would now call alpha male bullshit. Because these two, once
but back then it was different.
Once Willis and Wayans start talking, it's all about, the metaphoric dick competition, who's got the bigger dick. And Bruce Willis wins because his character is the bigger dick. So...
Right. So needless to say, Halle Berry's character is killed, and they want to get to the end of this. They know that there's something big, and it's your standard 80s, early 90s action movie shit of like politicians being bribed, big rich guys thinking they own the world, and then these little guys coming in to ruin it for everybody in a spectacular finish. So, I mean, The Last Boy Scout is so... I know I've said this 3 or 4 times now. Is so inherently of its time. You made the point of, I wrote an entire script made out of one-liners. And, like, That's what these movies were.
Well,
at the time.
tell
And
me
this
I'm
is
wrong.
Very much.
Tell me.
No, you're not wrong. I mean, it's so many quips.
Yes.
Every time somebody does something to Bruce Willis, he's got a one-liner to respond.
Yep.
Some of them hit really good.
Yeah.
Some of them don't. Like in the trailer, you heard the part where the guy hits him and he's like, "You touch me again, I'm gonna kill you." And he punches him, and then he kicks him and puts his nose 3 inches into his brain, and he goes, "I told you I was gonna kill you."
Yeah.
Like stuff like that.
That's my question. Like, is he a superhero in this? Because he took beatings and didn't make a word, make a sound. He's thrown against walls. Like, he can one punch kill people. Like, what is going on? Because they don't show his training. They don't show him like withstanding
All
torture.
we know is no, but we do know that he worked for the Secret Service and protected the president, and at one point took a bullet for the president. So you know that like he's been through some shit.
Yeah. I mean, it is the typical action hero thing to be a little more super than everybody else in the 80s
But what
and 90s.
I love,
yeah.
right? But what I love about what they do in this movie is it's very self-aware that it's satirizing itself. Like every time they're talking about the bad guys, they refer to them as the bad guys. Like,
Yeah.
so they know exactly what's going on. They know what they're doing with it. There's so many cliches that are coming across. Like you're flooded with the jokes. Like, you know, the car chases are so ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
guys get blown up standing like a foot away from a bomb in a car, and they just roll down a hill and get up and they're
Right.
fine.
But the other guy that was 2 feet away from it is completely dead.
Is completely dead. Completely dead.
Because bombs have situational awareness.
It's true. When it explodes, it's only going to explode in this direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, it's so much of itself, and it knows what it's doing. And we can say what we want about Shane Black, but Shane Black does a good job of writing this shit, man. Like, he knows exactly what he's doing. He knows exactly where he's going with it. And it succeeds because you have someone like Bruce Willis who can deliver those lines and can stand there and look like a badass. And then Damon Wayans is just enough of a comedian in this, but not so far that like you don't believe it. But you believe that he's a football player. You believe that he's the type of guy that probably would bet on his team.
I don't believe he's a football player, but I believe the rest of what you said.
Fair.
He's skinny in this. He's a skinny little guy.
I mean, also, everyone talks about you.
All right, remind me to talk about the end with the horse before we're done.
I was just gonna say that this, you know, Bruce Willis like really like chewed up a lot of this stuff at this time period, but I think that he has some of his best one-liners in this, in the way that he delivers them, because it's just one after another and after another.
It's overkill. Definitely overkill for me.
But it's almost like that Family Guy joke where something is so funny at first,
Right, up to
and then
3
you're
times.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
Enough.
Yeah.
And you're like, enough, I can't handle it. And then it comes back around and it's fucking hilarious again.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ending, man.
So I'm gonna spoil the ending here. 3 minutes should be enough. Taylor Negron is sent up to the spotlights to snipe the senator, and Bruce Willis is being held hostage with Danielle Harris and Homie the Clown there. And for some reason, because he's a smartass, Homie realizes they don't play that.
Just froze.
And he gets shot in the hand, and that's his throwing hand. And about 10 minutes later, he's on horseback on the field. There's cops in raincoats with shotguns. For what reason, I don't know. And he throws a football from the field up to the senator's box seat through a non-existent window, too, apparently, and hits him square in the face. But he threw it with his Jesus on the cross hand. How did he do that? And ride a horse?
It's
not
1991. That's how he did it.
This is not True Lies. Okay, you cannot just ride a horse through a mall and jump it on top of a Harrier. or whatever happened in that movie. But it's like, did you forget you just shot him in the hand? It was a whole big thing.
It's adrenaline, man. What are you gonna do?
Oh, come on.
We got to talk too about the opening musical intro.
Well, we have to, because nobody talks about what happens at the beginning of that movie for the whole movie.
I know, right? So it's such a send up of the Monday Night Football theme. It's amazing.
Ugh.
It's so amazing.
It's such a bad song.
Oh, but it's so bad on purpose.
Yeah.
Friday night's a nice night for football. football, throw the football. And like all the like girls are dancing, and it's such a Hank Williams ripoff. Like they might as well have hired Hank Williams to do it. And it's like it's such a rip on that. And are you ready for some football?
It sounds like,
are you ready to party?
It sounds like they had the South Park guys write a parody song for football.
Yeah, it's good. It's good, and it's really funny. The whole opening sequence is ridiculous in its own right. And again, I have to put myself into a 1991 mindset of like, yeah, there weren't metal detectors every spot when you walk into an arena. You're not like getting patted down or like checking bags or like anybody can like walk in like, and that becomes very evident like because somehow Damon Wayans and Bruce Willis make their way to the owner's box, like and nobody stops them. Even though the both of them are like wanted in questioning for like 12 murders.
Yeah. The one thing I did like though is when he threatens the other teammate that was trying to drown rape the girl in the beginning. Like he actually goes and gets the cops and like he's like, that motherfucker put a shotgun in my face. Like he didn't just let it go. That was the most believable part, I think, to me of the whole thing. Yeah,
probably. Yeah. But that scene where the running back is running down the field with the gun, and that's Billy Blanks. The
it was guy. Billy Blanks because I saw he was in it, and I couldn't. I thought maybe he was a strong arm guy in the background. I don't know, but
it's crazy.
Why did he shoot himself in the beginning?
I mean, it had to do with the whole thing gets tied into betting.
Right.
And sports gambling. And so he had somehow must have gotten himself into, they talked about, we learned that the Damon Wayans character got kicked off the team for sports betting. But then we see here that this guy is in that same situation, which I think is supposed to give us the idea that Damon Wayans got caught.
Okay.
But other people are involved in this thing. And they're basically like, hey, listen,
so if he gets
you better
caught,
score a touchdown.
Oh.
Well, they say how they're going to kill his family or what if you don't, you better score another touchdown or so-and-so is going to really be in trouble. And so he goes out there, scores the touchdown, and then shoots himself in the head on the field.
But then won't they just
it's effective,
kill his family
but they don't really explain it.
Yeah, no, they never go back to that. And that was really frustrating.
Well, the thing that I didn't understand was this guy killed players on the field. Because what he does is, if you've never seen this, he's a running back. He gets the handoff. He starts running. He breaks a couple tackles, and he pulls a gun out of his pants and starts shooting the guys that are trying to tackle him. He runs into the end zone, scores the touchdown, and then puts the gun to his head and says something like, I don't know, some one-liner, like "Ain't life a bitch" or something like that, and then shoots himself in the head. They don't cancel any games because there's a game apparently like the next week. Like there's no nothing about it. They're just like, oh, did you see that guy kill himself on the field? Could you imagine what would happen in real life if somebody like a football player killed himself on the field?
Oh yeah, it would shut down. Everything would shut down
for the season. They would cancel the season. Like it would be done. It would be over.
Yeah.
And it's not even like a blip on the radar for these guys. Like, wow, that sucks because he's a really good player.
I mean, I understand to a certain degree. They're showing how extreme the need for money from sports is, but yeah, like it's not even. I mean, like it would have made more sense if there was some kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Some memorial service, and that's when they were going to kill the senator or whatever, instead of just another game.
Well, I mean, I think his suicide, on-field suicide, is supposed to be the catalyst. For everything that happens after it, because they do mention it a few times.
Okay.
Joe and Dix mention it about how there's the corruption at the ownership level and how that might explain what happened. But it's not super clear. I've seen this movie a number of times now, so I feel like I've got the story a little bit better. Spoiler, I really like this movie, but It's not doing anything that you've never seen before.
Yeah.
It's darker than a lot of those other action movies, I think, from this time period.
Yeah.
But it's not really doing anything new.
No. So,
all right. Well, let's
okay.
Go for it.
Well, no, it can go in with the official. And that's...
Are you ready for some football?
That's my biggest
Chris,
problem with this.
What's your grade?
It doesn't do anything new. The only thing it might do new is it gives us 2 shitty characters as main characters. And a shitty wife. And a shitty kid. Everybody's a piece of shit in this. No one really has the moral high ground in any of this. And when you have your 80s and 90s action movies, you gotta have your clearly defined bad guys. You know, your Grubers, your diplomatic immunity, all of those guys. You have to have... They tried with Willis's backstory, but because he acted like such a piece of shit otherwise after all this happened, that doesn't mean he's a good guy. That means he just kind of gave in and became the person they claimed he was. So it was like, how am I supposed to feel bad for you? Because you did the right things and you have blackmail on this other guy. Why are you drinking yourself to death? Like, the stuff he was you prank call him 167 times. Well, why the fuck didn't he change his number after the 5th time? You know? Or how about you have that number blocked? Because obviously he's calling from his house, right? Because he's
well, it's 1991. So.
Yeah. There's just so much in this that is just trying to be like the actioniest action movie out there. And
well, I mean, part of it too, I think, has to do with the fact that the production, this was a very troubled production. There's a lot of rumors that basically Joel Silver, the producer, wanted to have his hands all over everything, and Bruce Willis kept changing everything, and then Silver would side with Willis, and they would cut Scott out of the product and basically keep making changes to the point where the script was the finished product was so different from the original script that it didn't find its way to where it was. And also Damon Wayans and Bruce Willis fucking hate each other.
Oh, of course.
So the fact that they were able to come across in the film and work as well off each other in the film as they do is actually really impressive, because you don't realize how, at least for me, you don't realize how fucking what a mess it was to get made.
Well, because you have Cop Out as an example of when Bruce Willis just completely shuts down. So we know what it's like when he's a complete asshole. But that could have been the start of his mental illness, so I'm not going to go with that. But here,
who knows?
He's professional enough to be able to put it aside and do that. And I can totally see that. There are a lot of actors that become serious in their roles or their ideas that just can't. Like a famous one is Tommy Lee Jones and Jim Carrey on that Batman movie. Tommy Lee Jones was like, don't fucking come near me. But I don't feel so bad then hating this, because it is just a garbled vanity, just bullshit picture. And it tries. I guarantee you then some of those one-liners and shit were ad-libs that Willis probably insisted stayed in.
But it still feels like Shane Black.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you've been in enough around the person long enough and you're reading their lines, you can. I mean, I could make jokes like other people, right? We could do that. And then they're not sure. Oh, was that in a rewrite or was that, right, an ad lib? And then you're all good. So, I mean, because Shane Black's humor is really like Bruce Willis's moonlighting stuff.
It's on par, I think.
Yeah. So it's not a huge leap. So I was not looking forward to this. I was kind of hoping it'd be one of those, hey, you didn't like Demolition Man when you saw it in the theater, and because the last time I saw Last Boy Scout was in the theater. Maybe you'll like it. And I gave it a shot, and I could even forgive, the 90s use of the one F word in the movie, because Bruce Willis's character is clearly homophobic, as is every male action star, apparently. Especially in the 80s. But no, I don't think anybody should watch this. I think we're good. Just, going with, you want to watch a Shane Black movie. There's Predators, Monster Squad. There's a bunch of good ones out there.
There's Lethal Weapon, the original Lethal Weapon.
There is that,
excellent.
but if you are sympathetic to Jewish people, you might not want to watch it anymore. Just saying.
That's a good point.
Just saying. Dracula.
What's your letter grade?
Dracula doesn't have it. Well, Dracula starts with a D, so we'll go with that. D. There we go.
I can't believe how far off we're going. I really enjoy this. I do recommend it. It's such a perfect explanation of what movies from this time period were like, how over the top they were, how ridiculous they were. I mean, you don't make movies like this anymore. You can't.
You
couldn't, even if you tried.
Yeah. Oh, nobody wants them.
There's some stuff between the cracks there if you want. But I mean, it's actually like a really smart time period thing, whereas it's shot like a TV commercial. Like it looks like a commercial, like a glossy
it really
commercial.
Is. It's, music video commercial.
Yeah, and because they're very much trying to give you that look at the seedy underside of glossy Hollywood type stuff. Yeah. Rich guys are assholes too, and it works. And I think the cast is great. Halle Berry's great for the little bit that she's in it. Daniel Harris is excellent in it. And I think Willis and Wayans, the two of them, despite the fact that they apparently hated each other's guts, really worked good together on screen as a team. And I think maybe part of that was because you could feel the disdain between the two of them,
which is what the characters had.
Was not faked.
Yeah.
It's not the best action film from this time period. It's not something. I mean, I've seen it probably 4 or 5 times in my life, but at least 3 of those are probably just like it was on TV. So, and again, with Tony Scott's stuff, it's not the best Tony Scott stuff either. But I think in terms of Shane Black, he's probably the guy that comes out of this one looking the best because he's the writer on it, and he, a lot of people remember the writing in this movie more than anything else. So I will give it a B-. So not something that's going to be a first tier. If everyone's like, oh, what's a really good action flick from the early 90s. It's not my first go-to, but it's definitely something that if I was to make a top 6 list, it could potentially fall at maybe number 6.
Oh, wow. That's pretty high.
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. I mean, I only say top 6 because that's what we always used to do.
Fair,
but if we were to do a top 10 is probably more likely where it would fall towards the tail end of a top 10. But I think it's got its merit.
That's fair.
Especially if you're a film fiend or a film freak, if you will. It definitely has its place.
Yeah. All right.
So David's picks, I think, gave us a couple of those are actually two pretty good reviews, I think. So I want to thank David for sending those. Now, whether Joe will be thanking us or not, I'm not entirely sure because he's at the tail end now of the Resident Evil series. So let's see what he has to say.
Well, hello, Bill. Hello, Chris, and hello, OTC Nation. It's your boy Joe here, and, this week Bill took me back to Raccoon City to wrap up this clusterfuck because he made me watch Resident Evil, the final chapter. Are we, or more to the point, am I, going to get a strong finish from this iteration of Resident Evil? He asked an empty room, knowing the answer because it lay within itself and himself. I get it. Sometimes it's hard coming up with a good finish. Seinfeld, Game of Thrones, Dexter, How I Met Your Mother. All pretty famously disappointing endings. Look, they can't all be Hogan slamming Andre or Tony Stark snapping his fingers and bringing back all the dead people, even though you know goddamn well it was never going to end without them. Endings are hard. But I think in this case, bear in mind I haven't even started the movie yet, I think in this case they're probably going to treat it like just another entry in the series, and it'll be yet another step down. I hate to say it, but this is almost worse than the witchcraft movies, because they had so many more resources available to them to make it good, and they just didn't. A broken record there. Whereas the witchcraft people were trying to make a movie for like 35, 40 grand, and they tried their best. But what the fuck, man? Our catering is the camera dude's cousin making sandwiches 10 feet to the left of our shot. Mila Jovovich probably had a personal masseuse and a per diem that cost more than one whole witchcraft movie. I'm just rambling now, so let's get this started. Hey everyone, Allie Larder needed to make some money that year, because after taking the last movie off, she's back as Claire Redfield. To be fair, while she's not exactly Meryl Streep, she damn well is compared to the lady who was Claire in Part 5. I mean, shit, you could have had a literal mannequin being moved around by like a stage crew person in a blackout suit behind it, playing Claire, as voiced by Emo Phillips.
Oh, don't bring
and
Emo
it would
into
have been
this.
better than whoever the lady was who played Claire in the last movie. Also, listen. I have a pretty medium strength case of ADHD, but on my worst day, I'm still not as scattered and jumping around as this fucking movie is. I don't know what I'm having a harder time keeping up with, the camera cutting every half second, or the story changing and backtracking and looping around to rewrite established lore every other half second. Fuck. This is supposed to be like a big summer blockbuster popcorn flick. How the fuck am I supposed to enjoy my buttery, salty goodness when my senses are being assaulted and the screen is giving me epilepsy? I think, let me re-say that. I think the story so far is that Alice has 48 hours to make it back to wherever Raccoon City is from Washington, D.C., get to the hive, fight through all the defenses, and release the airborne antivirus, which is now a thing for some reason. The problem I have is that she constantly checks her countdown watch that she just conveniently found. The first 30 minutes of the movie represent 2/3 of that 48 hours. Like, I already wanted to watch this movie on fast forward to get it over with, and they must have foresight because they're fucking doing it for me. Even if the last half hour of the film will probably represent maybe a few hours' time, and it's going to damn well feel like it. Okay, well, now they're just filling time. Alice stumbled upon Claire and yet another small band of scrappy survivors, all with their own plucky personalities, and they have to get into a big old battle with a horde of zombies. And did I mention that the evil doctor guy, who is now for some reason one of the co-founders of Umbrella Corporation, and also got killed at the end of Part 3, but that was just a clone, and this is the real one. Fuck me. Just fuck me and fuck this and whatever. While they're filling time, let me. One thing that is admittedly a minor detail that can be easily overlooked, but I always notice, is the barely escaping an explosion, but the next time you see the person, they have all their hair. I mean, hell, I've taken off most of the hair on my forearm just getting a fire lit in my fire pit. Claire gets propelled like 20 feet by like a fireball explosion, and she's like almost engulfed by it. But when she comes out of it, she still looks like a goddamn Pantene commercial.
That's because she Lando'd it.
Okay. God damn it. God damn it. They did the thing. While I was writing the last thing, they did another thing. The evil doctor, played by the guy who was a simp for Khaleesi, he has like a little platoon with him, and inevitably they all die. Duh. But not before we get to the semi-main event, where the one Asian guy in the platoon is immediately established as a martial arts master. Fuck. You know, sure, fine. Okay, moving on. Fuck. Oh yeah, no, one more thing. While they have their 5-minute fight, they miraculously do it in the one open space in this whole big city that does not seemingly have 100 zombies in it. Just fuck. All right. Nothing else happens here. Nothing else that's happening here is going to matter. So let me tell you what saved this movie. Evil Doctor is actually a Jesus Crispy, and he convinced Umbrella Corporation to start the apocalypse ahead of time because at the end of the day, Christianity and all the other major religions are death cults, and they created like a Noah's Ark for the rich to ride out the apocalypse. So as shitty as this is, the message is great. Also, no matter how shitty this was, I'll give it to them that they actually, believe it or not, gave us a satisfying ending. As long as you don't count the last 10 seconds. Here's the thing. The good. When the camera stays still for more than 3 seconds, and like most of the Resident Evil movies, it looks pretty good. Also, finally, the common thread, Mila Jovovich. The bad. This movie had to break a record for the highest amount of quick cuts ever in a film. It was distracting and annoying. The series overall was like the first thing we all learned on an Etch-a-Sketch, which is just the ever-descending staircase. Each one step down from the last. Resident Evil, the final chapter, is going to get a D+. The series overall, I don't know, C-.
That's better than I would have
Maybe
thought.
a C at the best. It kind of went back and forth. But there it is. There's the Resident Evil franchise, which leads me to Bill.
Yes.
Oh, God. Jesus Christ. What's next, buddy?
Has Joe done Final Destinations yet?
No. I don't think
All
so.
right, final. If not that, Child's Play. Those are the next two. Final Destination,
OTC
Child's Play.
Nation, you heard the man. I'll be back with whatever the fuck that was next week. Until then, be good, everyone.
I couldn't remember. I wanted him to do the Final Destination movies, but then part of me thought that he'd already done them.
No, I think Scott went over them a long time ago, and that might be what we're thinking of.
Oh, Scott loves those movies. Well, Joe, that actually ended up being better than I would have thought.
Yeah, and also don't watch the
Resident
TV
Evil.
series because they canceled it.
Did they
Yeah.
really?
Let me just ask you a question. Why the fuck would anybody go to Netflix to have a show made if they have a whole idea for a big long thing and they fucking cancel them all the time? What is up with that shit?
I don't know, man. Here's the thing. For a while there, with a lot of streaming services, it was kind of like, yeah, I can watch the shows in the streaming services because they're not going to get canceled like midway through. And
Right.
now it's just as bad.
Right.
HBO Max is just throwing everything
Yeah.
away. Like they're like, that whole merger with Discovery is like, I can't believe what
That guy's
I
a
can't, like,
fucking idiot.
How, you're going to shelve a movie that's done? Like, it's done. You already spent the money
I
on
did
it.
read that there are a lot of VFX that still need to be done for it to be watchable, but it'll be out. We'll see it. We'll see that. But they're going to do reshoots
so?
on Aquaman, and they're desperately trying to save the Flash.
Yeah, that whole Flash thing is Ezra Miller. They're like, they're
a mess. They
Like-
should not be allowed back until they can like clean up their fucking act and prove that they're insurable as an actor. You can't Tony Jaa and then just come back and be like, yeah, I'm fine, and then fuck shit up again. Like, come on.
It's crazy, man. And hasn't that Flash movie been shot now for already like 3 years? Isn't it? Like,
I think
it's gonna. How outdated is it going to be when it finally releases?
I don't know,
next year?
but
If
can
it
we at
releases?
least just see Michael Keaton as Batman, please?
No, that's dead now apparently too.
Fucking, I don't get it. Also,
That's the thing that's the thing that I can't understand the most about the what they're pulling is like they pull Batgirl, but yet they're going to storm forward with the Flash movie where you obviously have a star that's unstable and going to give you all of the bad the bad
the press,
that you could ever ask for, like. But you're gonna and that's what I read a story where they were like they don't understand. They're like whoever the guy is that's I forget his name, the guy that's running Warner Discovery now, is basically like doubling down on the Flash and making sure that that's the one that's the film that they're going to make sure it comes out. But like it's easily the most problematic of them all. And honestly, is there anybody really that's like, I really want that Flash movie?
No, I don't give a shit how the Snyderverse ends up. I think Snyder's version of Justice League is like the perfect way to end it. Just that's it. And then we can count James Gunn's Suicide Squad as a restarting point because that and Peacemaker were good. And I'll even.
What are your thoughts on Black Adam?
I'll watch it. I like The Rock. He's grown on me.
I love Dwayne.
So
Love Dwayne.
I'm gonna watch it, but I don't have high expectations. But I do know that like that's the role The Rock was made for. Deadpool is Ryan Reynolds. Yep. Rock has always been Black Adam. So.
Yep.
I'll give it a shot, but I'm not going to the theater for it. Not happening.
No, I don't go to the theater for anything. I don't go to the theater for anything.
Not happening.
All right, here we go. Reverend Scott, he's got something to say.
This is the segment intro. Thank you.
That's it? That's the best you got? Okay.
Yeah. You're welcome.
What?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. With Reverend Scott.
Christmas turkey dinner.
Hey there, Bill and Chris. This is Reverend Scott.
I don't feel like he needs to be here.
Right.
You wish. So first things first, a bit of housekeeping. Last week, Chris mentioned that I called one of the movies you reviewed Jarface instead of the correct name, Jugface. And I just wanted to say that I'm always striving for a level of professionalism here on Holy Shit. So from the bottom of my heart, I just wanted to say, who fucking cares?
Wow, okay.
Moving on, I have something new yet old to discuss today. But first, what was it you watched last week again?
This week's show patron is Ollie, who's been a friend of the show for a while now. I thought he was requesting a movie called Troll Snatch. We've done some weird movies in our time, and so I went looking for a movie called Troll Snatch and couldn't find one. And actually, I was a little surprised. His idea was he wanted to have a show titled Troll Snatch,
yes,
with the two films Troll and the film Snatch.
Yes.
So those are the movies for this week. And much to the dismay of Reverend Scott, not Troll Snatch.
No.
Bill, when you and Kyle inevitably make that movie, I need to be involved.
Nope.
So first was your review for Troll. Let's hear a trailer. This stars Sonny Bono, and back when this hit video, I rented and watched this movie myself. I have to say, it was not good. Well, not as good as the review for it last week, at least. Sorry if you'd rather I'd bury the lead or whatever, but it's true. I mean, come on, just listen to Chris describe the plot.
Who eats a burger starting with the bottom bun?
Troll.
I mean, if that sounds cool to you, then I guess that's fine. I can understand that a little.
Yeah, I mean, it's, yeah, I get it. It sucks, but I get it.
I give Troll a D+, and I give the review of Troll an A-. After that, you got onto another movie that I've also watched back in the day on home video, Snatch. Tell us about the plot, Chris.
It was about a dude that had something stuck in his butt, I believe.
That makes more sense than anything Brad Pitt said in this movie.
That doesn't tell you anything.
No.
It feels like...
literally not at all.
All I really remember is some bare knuckle boxing and someone saying, "Oh, dogs. Yeah, I like dogs." Other than that, I think I found out pigs will eat a man whole. So, I mean, that's at least some info that we can all use in our daily lives. What were we talking about again?
What was my point? I don't fucking know.
Oh, yeah. Snatch. I give it a D+. Yeah. Also, I give the review a B. Moving on to something more important, it's now time for me to tell you what I've been watching.
Yeah, I guess that's right.
Sure. Sure, why not? Let's do that.
Well, coming from your boy HBO Max is the new Game of Thrones joint, House of the Dragon. Because Lord knows there's nothing else left on HBO to watch. Thanks a lot, Warner Brothers Discovery.
Like, come on. Come on.
Anyway, House of the Dragon takes place 172 years before the original Game of Thrones, and it has Matt Smith, which most of you mainly know him from his role in the top-grossing movie of all time, Morbius.
What?
There's some other familiar faces in this pilot episode, but I'm not going to bother to tell you who they are because they'll all likely be dead within the next 3 episodes anyway.
I know.
What I will tell you is that the character building in this was superb already. We learn a lot about these meat sacks in a short amount of time, and I appreciate that a lot. They tug at your heartstrings effectively, and they tug at your gore strings a lot too. Oh, and you like naked people? They tug at your naked people strings as well.
Sweet.
So for all of you holding out hope to see Matt Smith's bare ass, good news, you see plenty of it.
Yeah, good. I bet it's real good.
I know it's only one episode, but my interest in this series has already increased a lot just after this strong opening. So if you like dragons, unnaturally white hair, and Matt Smith's bare ass, I suggest you give House of the Dragon a try. Maybe I'll revisit this in a few months and follow up on how the season ultimately disappointed me. I give it a B+. Okay, that little review should get you all up to speed on the new Game of Thrones.
I don't know if that helped.
What'd you think about the segment this week, Chris?
Not bad.
No one cares what you think, but everyone should care about what's on the next episode of Outside the Cinema. Make sure you all tune in next week to hear Bill try to convince Chris that the Earth is flat.
Yes, it's 100% possible.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for backing me up on that.
And finally, Bill has yet another classic rant about how sharing his living space with his family is really cramping his style.
Hey, listen, I'm a piece of shit, and I need you all to be quiet so I can do really scumbag things in my apartment.
Yeah.
I'm a swinger, and I can't be swinging if all these little rugrats are running around.
So look forward to all that and so much more swinging. But until then, peace and love, guys. Outside the Cinema.
Oh, beans.
Farts. They go together.
They do. Okay, guys, just for a heads up, we are going to be recording 2 episodes next week. We got some scheduling conflicts coming up, so we need to pre-record an episode for the following week next week. I'm really only talking to Joe and Scott at this point. I don't think anyone else cares about that. So we're going to do some newer releases over the next couple episodes, just so we can have time to watch 4 movies in the span of a week, basically. So heads up. Cool. At Cthulhu on Instagram, at OTC Bill. Go to the Facebook's groups and look up Outside the Cinema. Feel free to join there. But if you're gonna join the group like a normal human being.
Yeah,
please.
answer the questions. Come on, I'm sick of saying no.
That's just to prove that you're human. It's just to prove you're not coming there to just
be a dick.
Be a
human,
yes,
then come in and be a dick. It's fine. Just answer the goddamn questions.
Timing is perfect for this. So thank you guys very much for hanging out with us. As always, join the Patreon at patreon.com/outsidethecinema. And thank you for your support.
Yeah.
Talk to everyone next week.
Bye.